I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot.
That final scene
Starts now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the That Final Scene podcast. My name is Sophie and I'm joined by
Simon
and
Ben
for a Tom Cruise filled episode. Today we're going to be breaking down the final scene of Top Gun Maverick. Though in full transparency, it doesn't need much explaining.
It's a highly complex ending.
Yeah.
There isn't much depth.
Yes.
Maverick ending, meaning. I googled it
Ending
immediately
explained.
on the way home.
But we'll do our best to keep you entertained. And we're also going to be talking through some of our favorite and least favorite Tom Cruise performances. We also put the rankings to a vote for our audience to decide. So I'm excited to chat through the results. But first of all, let me just say, the Prestige saga continues.
Yeah, I love it.
So for those who are new to the podcast, in our very first episode, Ben dared to go on record to say that The Prestige is Christopher Nolan's best film.
And I still stand by it. I was just thinking about the cast on the way here. Mm-hmm. So you've got Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale as the two leads. Then you've got Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, David Bowie, Andy Serkis is in there as well. Such a good cast in that movie.
Winner,
chicken dinner. There you go.
Well, since that claim, things have kind of spiraled on social, but we actually just received a voice note from a listener. And let me just say, that person has very strong opinions.
He's got feelings.
Do you want to hear it? Feelings.
Yeah,
I think we should play it.
The Prestige is not Christopher Nolan's best film. Nowhere near the top 5. Like, The Dark Knight is obviously number 1. And then, I know how people feel about The Dark Knight Rises, but that's definitely better than The Prestige. Then you got, like, Interstellar and Inception, and heck, even Dunkirk. I like The Prestige, but I put it towards, like, the bottom on Christopher Nolan's best films.
It doesn't sting me too hard because I'm inclined to... Obviously, I disagree, but I love how passionate he's being. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did send us another one where he kind of like toned it down, but I'm like, no, give me like your full passionate rage about which Christopher Nolan film is your favorite one. I stick by my guns. Interesting that he didn't mention Tenet. He's called them all out except Tenet there. And what's that first one about where the guy keeps forgetting things? Memento. Didn't mention Memento either, which is a very good film.
As in, he didn't mention them in terms of...
Well, just didn't bring them up. The fact that he throws like Dunkirk in as a throwaway and was like, oh, even Dunkirk's that good, but doesn't mention Tenet or Memento. When
it comes to Tenet, I don't think it could be anyone's favorite Nolan film.
No, I don't think it'll be anyone's favorite. And listen, don't get me wrong, The Dark Knight's great. It's a fantastic film.
But
what's
Tenet
about?
It's not about Tenet Super.
It's not about Tenet Super, but actually, you know what? It might have been a better film if it had been. No, it's a weird, like, time reversing kind of science fiction film that is so confusing and doesn't really answer any of the questions it poses.
Even the word Tenet is in palindrome.
Yeah. All of his films are kind of time related, aren't they?
Oh yeah, he's obsessed with time,
and it's very good. You know, is it John David Washington's really good in it as the lead, and we have a lovely Kenneth Branagh bizarre Russian accent in the film, which is chef's kiss. And Robert Pattinson, I mean, the Paterson keeps going with that one. I think he's really good in it. But yeah, it's not going to trouble anyone's... Listen, sometimes I do say inflammatory things like that. So if you do disagree with me, please let me know.
Just to remind everyone, we are taking your voice messages, right? So send us your hot takes, send us your worst or best impression of Christopher Walken. We're going to play most likely. Send us your questions, send us your final scene suggestions, right? Just go to thatfinalscene.com/voice message, right?
Plug.
Please do not DM me your voice notes or a pinned download from Instagram. Thank you. Go to the website, record, and just play it. We might just feature it in a following episode.
And be as passionate as possible.
Yes.
You know, let us know. Like, that's the great thing about this thing that I've really enjoyed doing this podcast is that with the three of us get to be like as passionate as possible about these movies. So, you know, please, you know, use it as an outlet. This is a great outlet for us to
we would shout out your name, dude, for recording that message, but you never said who you are.
Oops.
I sincerely hope you had pulled over because you're clearly in a car as well. So I hope you're not recording voice notes on your phone while driving on the highway.
We appreciate the candor, though.
Yeah. Yes, we definitely do.
Maybe it could be like a ranting in the car section. It's like perfect for long traffic jams and stuff.
Sex session.
No, like
No, what? How did you hear sex
I
session?
heard car sex session.
No,
That's what I
Ranting
heard.
in the car session.
Oh, session.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, cool. I need some sleep.
What's this?
It's a movie.
No!
Oh, I liked it.
No!
Can I say something?
No!
I don't get it.
What don't you get about it?
Simon, you've been watching a ton of films.
Well, I watched Basic Instinct,
Oh yes,
which
yeah.
Golden Nugget.
I'm really surprised that you like it.
I love it. What are you talking about? Like, there's
It's
nothing.
like it's basically a soft porn film.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like it. What did you know about the film
Yeah,
before
that's
I
watching
knew
it?
about the leg cross scene.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the controversy around that. And that's about it, really.
How many stars out of 10?
8.
Ooh,
That's very
pretty high.
But the bit that I liked most of all, in the opening scene, there's a lady in the bed with blonde hair. There's the rock stars like tied up on the bed. And then this guy gets murdered really brutally with an ice pick. And then afterwards, all the police pile in. They come into the room and all the cops are like coming around, like checking the room, dusting for prints and stuff. And one guy gets this torch out to look for like jizz stains on the bed.
Oh God!
And so you can see it,
Well, like an ultraviolet,
Yeah.
I
light.
remember
and
that.
you
my
can see it,
God.
and you can see it happening, right? And you're just like, okay. And then one guy gets some goggles out and starts looking. And then out of nowhere, this line comes in.
There's cum stains all over the sheets.
It's literally the most unnecessary script line I've ever heard in my life.
I feel like that's
It's
that's an improv. That's the guys just they were just like, and you say
was
something,
ad-libbing.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
anything, and he's just went for a couple.
There's cum stains all over the sheets.
He tries like, wow, you could break those sheets over your knee. Nah, that doesn't work. We need to go with something else, something more visceral, something different.
It's just like, it's completely out of place in the whole film. Like, most of the rest of the script is fine, but that line was just complete. It was like something out of Big Mouth. It was like a cartoon, like
Yeah.
South Park or something.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the film's really good fun, so I recommend you watch it.
Are you gonna watch the sequel?
Is there a sequel?
There's a Basic Instinct too. Yeah,
already done?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
it's it came out in 19.
like it's
I'm
it's an
butchering it.
older one as well. Yeah.
So I watched that, and then what else did I watch? Magnolia, on the Tom Cruise tip.
Nice.
Had you seen it before? You had seen it before, right? No, you hadn't. Okay, wow.
Loved it. I think it's my favourite ever film that has Tom Cruise in it. Have you seen it, Ben?
No, I've not seen Magnolia. No.
Ooh. It's interwoven stories of people in really difficult circumstances.
Yes.
It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in it. It's always a good
Oh,
sign.
amazing! I love Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And it's got quite a mad ending. Well, not spoil it if you're going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, so don't spoil.
John C.
Tom
Reilly is
Spoiler.
so good at it as well. It stood out to me, like his performance, because he's usually like John C. Reilly. So
Yeah.
he actually shows up in Magnolia. Julianne Moore is in it. So yeah, it's,
Cool.
yeah.
I never thought I'd say this in my life, but the standout performance in that film is Tom Cruise by miles. And he plays this absolutely horrific motivational speaker, Frank. And he's got a program called, what's it called? Seduce and Destroy.
Oh God.
He goes on stage and he like whips up all these men that can't get girlfriends into
a
a
frenzy.
Yeah, but it's really horrific.
Incel, before Incel
Exactly,
became a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
But it's worth watching just for that because it's so funny and so outrageous.
Okay, well, I'll add that to the list to watch then of the other Tom Cruise films I need to watch. I feel like I'm just going to go on like a Tom Cruise marathon this week.
I've been doing exactly that, and you will not. I mean, I know you know that you're not gonna regret.
No, I'll start with the Mission Impossible marathon, which is always satisfying, and then go on to the heavier topics like Magnolia and The Last Samurai.
Do
and
you
stuff.
feel like you have to adjust your sound bar, like your sounds like system for films like Mission Impossible?
I want them as loud as possible.
Yes,
so,
I was gonna say.
I'm absolutely blasting them. Apart from the second one, which I tend to just turn off because it's not great.
I feel like he slept through his lines
In the second
in that
one,
film. No, Tom Cruise. Yeah,
Oh, Tom- yeah.
Tom Cruise. I just felt like he. Yeah.
randomly has Anthony Hopkins in it as like his new boss, and it just went a little bit wayward on that one. I think the third one's good. I enjoyed the third one with Philip Seymour Hoffman as the bad guy. It's not the best one, but still good. And then they just kind of gave it a couple of years, hired Christopher McQuarrie, which is the best partnership Tom Cruise it seems has ever had. Sorry, Katie Holmes.
Is that his
But,
co-writer guy that helps?
Yeah, I noticed it in the credits on.
Yeah, I
he's
saw
one of the
that.
executive producers on Maverick as well. He's written and directed some of the last few Mission Impossible films, and he seems to work with Tom Cruise quite a lot. Where Cruise has hit this really kind of sweet patch of really good action movies.
And the other one I watched was Night on Earth because our friend Sam recommended it, and I fucking loved it.
Which we're gonna hopefully do for a final
Yeah.
scene soon.
Excited.
That's your homework this week.
Yes. It's
And Magnolia.
It's Jim Jarmusch or Jim
yeah,
Jarmusch. I'm not
it's
sure how
so
to pronounce
hard
it.
to pronounce his name, but that's the guy. 2 of my favorite films from him. 1, Coffee and Cigarettes. You're gonna love that, Simon. 2, Paterson with Adam Driver.
Cool.
Such a
Oh,
good
I haven't
film.
seen it. So what have you been watching, Sophie?
Just a bunch of Tom Cruise films,
Yeah.
really. I've just been going down the Cruise rabbit hole.
Should we give a little mention to the boys as well?
Yes. Do you want to go first? Because
I mean, we can. Well, all I'll say is that I love it, and it's great that it's back. But the opening episode has one of the. I have never felt more squeamish in one of the opening scenes. Would you like me to talk about it? Spoiler alert for the opening.
I don't know
episode of The
what you're
Boys
talking
season.
about.
So The Boys is an Amazon Prime series. It's in its
Okay.
3rd season now, which is basically the boys are a group of guys who there's these superheroes in the world who are actually just kind of all arseholes, and they're led by this guy called Homelander, who is the arsehole of all arseholes. And there's these group out to get them, the boys who are just like, well, listen, we think superheroes are dickheads. We want to show them up for who they are and basically try and kill them. So it's this like hyper kind of stylized, violent show. And the opening episode of season 3 has something that I found out is actually an homage to theories of Ant-Man and Thanos on Reddit.
What?
So basically, around the time of kind of the Avengers, when Thanos was the big scary thing, everybody said, there was a theory online of why wouldn't Ant-Man just shrink himself down, climb inside Thanos' ass, and then just expand himself to make it explode? And there's basically a scene in the opening scene of The Boys season 3 where this guy, he can shrink himself down to the size of a termite, and to pleasure his boyfriend, he goes,
Butt plug.
yeah,
Yes.
he goes inside his boyfriend's penis. And while he's in there, he accidentally sneezes and makes himself go full size again while he's inside him. So basically just like makes the guy explode. And it's possibly the most uncomfortable I've ever felt watching. Generally had to like cross my legs and be like, oh,
Uncomfortable yet satisfying.
yeah. A
Not
satisfying
for the
climax.
dead guy.
Yeah. I am enjoying it. Me and Sophie had a bit of a chat before you got here, Simon. And my kind of take on this season is I think it's good. I'm enjoying it. But I am worried that they're just kind of getting into the like every season is just kind of be the same. Homelander's a dick, but he's unstoppable. He does something really bad, then gets put in his place. So I'd be interested to see how they kind of break out of that cycle.
Exactly. They need to deliver big with Soldier Boy. They need to do
Yes.
something creative with him.
Lovely Jensen
Who's
Ackles.
Soldier Boy? What the fuck?
Soldier Boy is
evil
Soldier
Captain
Boy's another-
America.
yeah, he's evil Captain America.
It's not
yeah.
related to the artist.
Not that. No, not Soldier Boy.
No,
Oh, okay.
Please, Simon, spelled completely differently.
I can see them playing with that though, because it's a
Yeah.
very like pop culture-y, like meta
Yeah,
reference.
I can imagine
so.
him doing, the Superman moves and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Doing
yo,
doing
sure.
the dance moves at some point, which would be.
Is it called Soldier Boy Tell Him?
Yeah,
That's so funny.
but sorry, Sophie, what are your thoughts on it?
No, I would just retweet on everything you just said.
Yeah.
Dude, don't start saying that.
Hashtag retweet.
Retweet. Because it's still very early. We've only
we're
seen
only
3
3 episodes
episodes,
in, yeah.
right? The only thing that I was going to say is I was expecting Soldier Boy.
The actual Soldier Boy.
The actual Soldier Boy to have made the proper entrance earlier
Yeah.
on in the season, because we're 3 episodes in and so far we've only seen him in flashbacks. So I'm not sure where
Yeah.
they're going with this. Watch the space. We're gonna have more reactions as the episodes.
As it inevitably gets weirder and weirdo.
Back to my Tom Cruise marathon anyway. Yes, I've been watching a bunch of his films. Some of them I've seen before, some others I hadn't. The first one, A Few Good Men, I'd seen ages ago.
Is that on your good list?
That was your good bad, wasn't it?
That was your good bad.
I feel like that's really
I-
intense for like a hangover day.
Oh, but it's so watchable.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So
And it's
like
about this very clear goodies and baddies as well.
classic Tom Cruise trope.
Yeah, that's
Only,
true.
like there's no gray
Well,
area.
no,
in his
actually, Magnolia.
No, that's the exception. Yeah, that's the
okay.
exception. But he wasn't producing like at the time. That's like clearly a PTA, like a Paul Thomas
Is he
Anderson.
producing A Few Good Men?
Most of his. Oh my! No,
Surely that's
don't
before he
don't
got
quote
to
me
that
on
point.
that. Don't quote me on that. But I felt like Magnolia was one of the first departures that he had from like a career progression point of view, because he wanted to get out of the what's the word?
Being typecast as an
Yeah,
action
he
hero.
was quickly getting at the time. So he wanted to kind of break out of that. Anyway, A Few Good Men, I really like. Yeah, similar to you, like it's very watchable. Though I'm gonna say that I feel like it gets really good after the trial starts. So like the second half of the film. The first half, I'm like, a bunch of words I don't understand. Like, yeah, anyway. I also watched Rain Man. Have you seen Rain Man?
No.
I'm sure you've seen Dustin Hoffman's performance somewhere because he won an Oscar for his performance because he was playing an autistic person, and it was probably at the time, it was the most popular depiction of an autistic person, which has its fair share of problems, and it still does to this day, because it felt very stereotypical back then, but at the same time, I've been reading up on this, it did spark a new wave of research around that area because it got so popular and like it raised like a lot of awareness around the condition. What I'm gonna say is that Tom Cruise actually really good in that film, and I feel like everyone forgets about him in the film because Hoffman is so famous for what he did. So I really like the fact that in that film he's playing his brother, and I like how his arc feels quite realistic. He goes from infuriated with his brother to almost bewildered to understanding. So again, like a feel-good film ultimately. The other Tom Cruise film, The Last Samurai, another like maybe problematic film.
Yeah.
White Savior at its best and at its worst at the same time. It is a guilty pleasure of mine because I do love it.
I feel like a lot of comments around the Instagram page, a lot of people brought up The Last Samurai as well as like of their favorite.
It's a fan favorite for sure. Yeah, the score is incredible. Probably the best thing about the film. The problematic issue with it is that the premise of the film is a white guy that goes to a bunch of samurais to teach them how to be a better samurai.
because white men really know how to be samurai.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, there are definitely issues there, but at the same time, it has been praised for its positive cultural representation because it does let, like cultures be cultures in a way.
Lets the foreigners speak.
Good Lord.
Simon's quote, not mine. I rewatched Top Gun just because, like, in prep for Maverick, I don't like that film. I'm gonna say
I
it.
have to say one of the best things about Maverick is that I feel like you don't really have to have seen Top Gun because there's kind of so much kind of exposition in the dialogue every 5 minutes that you don't really need to have seen it.
No, there's always these nostalgia scenes where every room they go into, there's like photos in the background
of Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer.
Yeah, they do like a slow pan onto one of them, so you know that was from the previous film.
They have sculptured the film in a way that you don't need to have seen the original for sure, just so they can bring the younger demographic as well. But I do think you lose some of the nuance, right? Like you lose the Goose storyline.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And like, even the opening, like the title card is like, Star Wars on Earth. That's what Top Gun is about.
Yeah. We'll talk. I'll talk about it in the final scene. But even just one of the ending bits with one of the planes is a big callback to the original movie that you really appreciate if you've seen the original.
So I'm gonna start by saying this: it's hard to pick a favorite Tom Cruise film, but I feel like it's even harder to pick a least favorite Tom Cruise film.
Just because there's quite a few. That's the problem.
I thought you were going to say because there aren't any.
No. I feel like the ones that we've come up with on our lists, like Far and Away, The Mummy.
Right. But the thing is, like, the issue with his films, which we're going to talk about in a second, is that I feel like there are only two types of Tom Cruise films. The films that he plays Tom Cruise and the film that he plays a character. Yeah, so I feel like that's the way to approach it. So anyway, that said, we all have different tastes, right? So me, Ben, and Simon picked one Tom Cruise performance that we think is genuinely good, one performance from him that we low-key enjoy, but it's best enjoyed on
like
hangover
a
on
day,
Sunday.
I can just turn my brain off.
Exactly. And one Tom Cruise performance that we thought was truly awful. And what we did was we put our picks live on my Instagram stories and we asked the community to vote for their favorite ranking. So we're going to announce the results in a second. Drum roll. But why don't we go around to talk about our picks first? Simon, do you want to go first?
Good was Magnolia, which we talked about.
Which we've talked about, yeah.
Good, Bad, A Few Good Men. Easy to watch, very clear goodies and baddies, nice resolution, job done, hungover Sunday.
Bob your uncle.
Bad, Jack Reacher. I can't even remember what happens in it. It was so dreadful, I turned it off.
I will say I don't mind Jack Reacher too much. I didn't think it was that bad. It's a solid 5 or 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, I could have put Cocktail for that, but I think I'm a bit
should
like
have
you,
put
Sophie.
Cocktail
with-
for that.
It's like, as you'd say, it's problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, most Tom Cruise films are
yeah, I mean, that's
problematic,
dated
in a
quite
way.
badly.
Ben, what were your picks?
I'll go bad first, just because there's not much to say about it, because it is just so crap. Is The Mummy? It's just a terrible.
Never
it's
seen
not
it.
a good film at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Warner Brothers, but they were trying to do. Oh, we're going to do this like universe of like the monster. So it was going to be like Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Mummy, The Werewolf, and they were going to make all these films, and they were all going to exist within one another, like this Marvel movies. And it fell on its arse so badly. They were
Dude,
just
that's
like,
because
no.
anything that involves the word franchise, I don't want to watch it. It's just corporate.
Well, this
Dread.
was well, this was the worst of that. This was that bad. My good bad one is Tropic Thunder, which again,
Yes.
it's incredibly problematic. If you want,
Go on, what's problematic in it?
well, Robert Downey Jr.
It's not politically correct.
Is,
Oh.
yeah, I
Which is-
won't even go into it.
Yeah.
Look, you said I'd really enjoy it. What does that mean to me?
I don't know.
To be fair,
I don't know, Simon.
yeah, to be fair, I think there is, I mean, in fact, we could have an episode just on that, but I do feel like there is space for comedy to be not politically correct,
Yeah,
right?
and
I
edgy,
don't feel like
yeah.
that's what art is like, that's art's purpose. And I do feel like if you rewatch the film, like maybe there are some nods to the entire like nonsense being fairly sarcastic,
Yeah,
right?
and it's just pointing the finger at the film industry and just
I
being
think
like,
so.
you're really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Basic, just being like, these are all the kind of ridiculous things that actors do and producers. And actually that's why I really like it, because when Tropic Thunder came out, kind of, I think it was like 2008 around that time, that was kind of when we had Tom Cruise, and he was in this weird kind of space where there was like the kind of Scientology stuff, and like his public image probably wasn't as good as it is now. Like Tom Cruise's public image right now was
After
great.
his COVID outburst,
Yeah,
which I thought he ended up looking quite good.
He
off the back
did
of-
because
yeah.
because it was just him trying to like
Yeah.
protect the film and stuff, which is that's a whole.
He looked like a
Industrial
guardian of
savior.
cinema.
But the great thing is that in Tropic Thunder, he just comes out and is kind of like, it's completely unexpected. He's in a fat suit. He's wearing a bald cap. All he does is swear and say offensive things. Like, it's very not Tom Cruise. So
Yeah.
it's quite.
That's really interesting.
does
The
take
perception,
risks.
like, the public perception is you hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting, because if you think of what his public perception was at that time, to then for him to go, I'm just going to completely take the piss out of myself. Now, that still went a little bit wayward for a film that could have gone into bad battles when he did things like Rock of Ages, which was like, you just didn't need to. You just didn't need to bother.
I
And then
mean, he was hot. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Do you think Tom Cruise is attractive?
In Rock of Ages,
Well, anything.
I think Tom Cruise I would say Tom Cruise is attractive.
yeah.
The fact that his age, the shape that he's in, my
Yeah.
God, Jesus Christ, chiseled at his age. It's ridiculous. And then, my good would be, I was torn between Mission Impossible Rogue Nation and Fallout. And I went for Rogue Nation just because it's where I feel like recently they've really hit their stride with like just really fucking solid action movies. They brought Rebecca Ferguson into it as a kind of a character in the story, which was really good. Simon Pegg obviously is playing a much bigger role now, and he's really good in it. Alec Baldwin was really good in it as well, kind of surprisingly. And obviously that leads in. You don't have Fallout without Rogue Nation, so I went for Rogue Nation.
Very good explanation.
That's my three.
So I went for Tom Cruise in Collateral as one of my best, not my best, his best performances. It's a film by Michael Mann. 2004, he's playing an assassin. His name is Vincent, if I'm correct. And he's playing opposite Jamie Foxx. It's a neo-noir thriller that you wouldn't see Tom Cruise in because Tom Cruise, right? So I do feel like it's part of maybe that rebranding at the time that he was
It's
kind
a
of
very
doing.
it's quite a stylish. I remember watching it years ago. It's a very stylish film.
Very, yeah.
It's a cool premise as well. It's a good.
Have you seen Heat?
I love Heat.
It's his, it's from
Same
Michael Mann.
director.
So it has that kind of feel, like he builds the most incredible visual world. So
Yeah.
like I feel like that's
And the
exactly
soundtrack in Heat with the piano. It's amazing.
so good.
Yeah.
My good/bad hangover film is Risky Business. That's
Nice.
Oh, I keep meaning to watch that.
dude. Okay, this is literally my hangover film. Though I have to say I don't usually watch the entire film when I'm a hangover. I just go and watch the dance scene.
I was gonna say, you just watch up until the dance and then you leave it at that.
Because you have like Tom Cruise in like button-down shirt, tube socks, dancing to what is it, like old-time rock and roll, and you're like, that's all I need in my life. Yeah. And that's the thing with Cruise. I feel like he's always been great at physical comedy, and it's a shame that he hasn't used that kind of talent all that much.
He's got very good he's got good timing for
Yeah.
like someone who's just like an action hero. He actually has quite good comedic timing.
Yeah. Anyway, now when it comes to a bad Tom Cruise performance, I went with Far and Away. Ben, I feel like I need to hand this over to you, but like just that Irish, like dreadful
awful.
accent is all you need.
It's horrendous. It's so bad.
Hello, Grace.
Hello, Joseph. Will I be seeing you in church tomorrow?
is going on?
Hello, Grace.
Hello, dear
Hello, Grace.
We could share a pew, me and you.
Toodaloo.
Same to you.
But just don't even try.
He's got an awfully large chest to be going to church.
Shannon, all chests are equal in the eyes of the Lord.
Fashion box. She'll never come out, the little tramp.
Oh, please turn it
Grace
off.
isn't
Please turn
a
it off.
tramp. She's a dancer in the Burley.
I'm enjoying it.
That isn't dancing. That's kicking her knickers up.
So it's a period western in a way, like period western romance, whatever. Like the film by itself is not awful. Like I think the premise is kind of okay. So they go
They
from
go to
Ireland
America.
to America
Yeah.
in an effort to claim some free land somewhere.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
like one of these kind of period piece things of like they leave the west of Ireland to go to America
And make
in
it.
like the 1800s or the early 1900s or whatever it
And
is.
he gets into fights and he loses like a bunch of fights and then they end up broke and it's a mess and they kind of get together, but then they're like
Just higher Irish.
it's a made up accent, which is like this is why I kind of find entertaining because like
Irish people.
it's playing a gypsy, but it's not even like
I get it back in like the 90s when like Tom Cruise is hot shit and he's the cool young actor. But please just stop doing it now. Ireland has built up a good enough reputation to have actual actors in it. Like Good Luck Leo Grand that we're gonna
But actually, this is like a bigger conversation
next
because,
week.
like, do you have gay people to only play gay people, autistic people to only play autistic people, blind people to only play blind people?
I think that's different.
That's
I think
different.
that's different. Doing accents is
I don't know. Like, I was watching Night on Earth, where the taxi driver picks up a blind lady, and I looked her up, and she's not blind in real life. She's a famous French actress.
I'm somewhere in the middle in that camp where I'm like, I'm kind of okay with people doing accents as long as they do the work. Like basically, Tom Cruise didn't do the work here. Like he just didn't do the work.
that
In a
and
way.
I,
That might be his best shot.
yeah, but that's the thing, and I think
Or he had 2 weeks to prep.
Yeah.
and
right.
maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but maybe some people will back me up. I think the Irish accent is very difficult for a lot of people. Like
That's
even
true.
English actors who've done Irish accents, it comes like Conversations with Friends, which is on BBC Three at the minute. Joe Alwyn, who's playing the lead, is an English actor, and he's playing a guy from Dublin. From like 5 minutes from where I grew up, watch the first episode, and all I'm thinking through it is, oh god.
My problem, I guess, or my issue when it comes to these things in terms of casting is not even about like political correctness. It's about like there are certain demographics that have already limited opportunities, right? So even like Irish people, like they're not going to be able to get casted for every single role because they're limited by their accent to an extent, unless they can do an incredible American accent, which is fair game. But then you have like a disabled person who can, like by definition, they can only play disabled roles because they can't stand up, right? So like, why have non-disabled actors like play disabled roles when you kind of take away that limited opportunity that already exists in that realm, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just like play fair, you guys.
Yeah.
Come on, Tom.
At home. I think he learned his lesson.
Come on, Tom. There's
I think
disabled Irish people that could have done that well.
I think he learned his lesson. I think he stayed he stayed true to his American like.
There's supposedly
Americana.
an old story about while they were filming that in Ireland that he was almost beaten up in a bar because he leant
Shit.
over the bar to grab some ice or something like that, and an old man at the bar, grabbed him because he thought he was trying to steal the barman's cigarettes.
Wow.
Threatened to beat him up. It was yeah.
So the big reveal.
Yes, who won?
How did our audience rank our rankings? FYI, when we asked people to vote, we didn't disclose who picked what, so we tried to be as fair as possible. So Ben, for your picks, I feel like we need some kind of...
Ooh, there we go.
I like that.
Whenever you want
Ben, for your picks, 77% of the audience agreed.
That's a good number.
It's a very good number. And 23% of the audience disagreed. That's not too bad at all. From a couple of messages ago, and get ready for this.
Okay.
I think there are some covert mommy fans out there.
You're wrong. And maybe they're making the same mistake that you did, that they think it's the Brendan Fraser mummy.
Maybe.
If that's what you
Potentially.
thought, I forgive you,
Like
because that
Tom
is a
Cruise was like a
fantastic
backup
film.
or something. Simon, for your picks,
Is it terrible?
61%
Oh.
of the audience agreed, and 39% of the audience agreed. I think you hit a soft spot for the many people out there who absolutely love A Few Good Men. I had a lot of people respond back to that, story, say, "Oh my God, no, what are you talking about? A Few Good Men is the best film ever."
It's good bad.
I think that's what
They took
maybe
offense
got
to the
you.
bad.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got Magnolia and A Few Good Men, Magnolia's got to be the good.
That's true. I'm not disagreeing. I
Of
just
the
think
list, maybe you've pigeonholed yourself with the list. That's the problem.
yeah. And for my picks, 84%.
Oh, of
of
course, the
audience
person who runs the
agreed.
Instagram page gets the
I
most
know, I hacked the
votes.
system.
There's cum stains all over the sheets.
God. 16% of the people disagreed. I think that dreadful Irish accent won me the poll, I have to say, because I had so many people say, "Oh my God, far and away, it's the worst film ever." And I think people on my page anyway have a soft spot for Collateral. It's that kind of like underground cult favorite that many people don't know about, but the ones that do feel very strongly about it. Anyway, that was fun. It didn't hurt that I won, but
No.
I want us to keep doing this so like we can
Definitely. I'm
Yeah.
You find out more about you guys at home, what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah, to the people listening, send us your suggestions on any games or debates you want us to take on next.
Yeah, let's take a quick break before we come back with spoilers for Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, look, a message from our sponsor.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. Nah, yo, hold my poodle. Hey, yo, what's up? Y'all got a problem? Y'all want some of this?
Without much further ado,
Here we go again.
We're back after that, intense Tom Cruise field special. So, final scene for Top Gun Maverick. It's interesting. I feel like it's almost unreal that we're talking about a Top Gun sequel, right? My dad, was obsessed with Top Gun, and we're like 36 years later and we talk about a sequel. It just feels a bit unreal to me.
Weirdly, though, it feels like the right time to have done it. I feel like if they had done a Top Gun sequel
That's true.
straight after it, just would have been the same thing. But actually, we'll talk about it because they've let it like grow a little bit, and like characters like Miles Tellers and stuff. Actually, it's a better time to have done it in a way.
Yeah.
Like an older Maverick is much more interesting than just Top Gun 2. He's back for more air flight sequences. It actually gives a bit more depth to it.
Yeah, they definitely waited for the right time and the right story to come back. So to give you guys a bit of a recap, Top Gun Maverick picks up the story of the original Top Gun after more than 30 years. Maverick continues to be in service as one of the Navy's top aviators, where he belongs, pushing the envelope in Mission Impossible arrogance level style with all sorts of test pilots and dodging the advancement in the ranks, though he could easily have that, but I feel like that's an interesting plot point.
You could have been an admiral by now.
Easily.
But he's still a lowly captain.
Yeah.
He's frozen in time, just like Tom Cruise.
He's right where he needs to be.
Exactly. In any case, early on in the film, he finds himself training a detachment of Top Gun graduates for a specialized mission that some people called suicide mission in that film, if I remember correctly.
John Hamm kind of indirectly calls it a suicide mission, yeah.
By
There's
the
that
way,
scene
John
where it's-
Hamm is so good at the
It's
film.
the Star Wars memes of like, but you're gonna do it, right? That type thing. There is a bit where it's like, but they're gonna come back, right? Part of the mission is to bring them back, right? And you're like, yes, Tom, fight for your man.
And in this group of young pilots, Maverick encounters Lieutenant Bradley Bradshaw, what a hilarious name, played by Miles Teller, called sign Rooster, who is the son of Maverick's late friend Goose, who died tragically
I
in
see
the
the poultry
original
link now
Top
in the
Gun.
names.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Very, very clever.
From there on, the film just spirals in a fascinating way. Like for me, the third act was the strongest one. We see Maverick facing a future that doesn't quite want him. I thought that was very sweet. And confronting the ghosts of his past, while he's also called to move past some of his own deepest fears. This all culminates in a mission that demands the 1000% from the pilots that are involved in it.
The best of the best, as they keep calling them in the movie.
Exactly. And we arrive at the third act of the film.
Are they in Russia? They never disclose.
Yeah,
where
we
it
don't
never
is.
disclose where it is, but
Yeah.
it's kind of...
It was an Iranian mission.
No, uranium. They're going to destroy
oh,
the uranium.
gee. Oh my God. I need subtitles.
Going to destroy a uranium refinement plant.
I need
Uranium.
subtitles.
Yeah.
You're right. Like the enemy was faceless.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking I'd missed something, like I'd fallen asleep or something.
No,
I
they
I think
never.
it's intentional.
They never
I think it's
really
intentional.
say it, yeah.
in case Putin gets cross.
Yeah.
It's the classic Hollywood point in a story arc where it gets towards the end of the film and the goodies are at the point of no return.
We're made to believe Maverick is dead.
Yeah.
He gets shot down. Rooster and Phoenix and the other pilots are told, come back. And
Yeah.
Rooster says no.
And then out of nowhere, they manage to steal a enemy plane from the enemy base that they've just bombed the shit out of.
F-14.
With the help of Rooster.
Rooster comes back for him and then gets himself shot down.
Then there's another dogfight.
Rookie.
Yeah.
And then what happens
Yeah.
after the dogfight?
They go back to the pilot and they all have fabulous embraces on the deck.
Yeah, and
Or
the
they
big
go
dick.
back to the pilot, go back to the ship.
Yeah, I mean, the final scene is pretty simple. I almost feel like, because I tried to memorize the final scene because I knew we were going to talk about it. It's like a montage of like short
it's a couple
scenes.
of different, it's like vignettes.
The very, very final shot is actually Maverick looking back at the photograph that he keeps at his hangar with Goose.
Before that, we see Rooster looking at the photos as well, and now there's the photo of Maverick and Rooster on the board as well.
Exactly. So Jennifer Connelly's character, where they kind of, which by the way, I read that in that scene it was actually Tom Cruise flying the plane. Not that I'm surprised, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that. Yeah, because he did that with James Corden like 2 weeks ago. He in that plane.
But Simon, I know you mentioned earlier, which I agree, that the whole Penny, well, that's your name in the film, storyline was quite weak. But to Jennifer Connelly's credit, I feel like she took like a very weakly written character and turned
she
it
plays
into
it really well,
and turned it something into a bit stronger. But like sometimes it's forced, and again, like it's what you said, like it's a very like Hollywood ending that somehow every single literally single white man in these sort of action movies needs to have a love interest. Like he can't go without. And
It just
like
felt a bit bolted on.
yeah,
that
for
part.
sure. Yeah. But to touch on that, I feel like, as you mentioned, Ben, like ending with Goose, this is what the film was ultimately all about. That kind of like is a tribute to the friendship and like the commitment that comes with that friendship and like the act of letting go. Because I watched the original Top Gun recently. The very final scene is actually the love interest, Kelly McGillis's character at the time, where it's at the diner, if you remember, and like they have like a classic Hollywood kiss moment, and then that's the film, which I felt like was the wrong ending because the film wasn't about these two. The film was about like
it's the Iceman and Maverick handshake on the deck, or the hug is like, that's where it,
100%.
I know you say, Simon, it kind of fell a little bit flat, but I think if you take the film as a whole, it couldn't have ended in any other way, because the whole film is just high-fiving action, like really happy endings, and kind of like I just walked out of it being like, yeah, that's good. I'm good. If it had just ended,
like
if it
was
just
sponsored
ended,
by Porsche.
if it just ended, yeah, that is true. If it had just ended that Maverick's dead and they hadn't had that whole kind of secret fourth act where Rooster comes back to get him,
I would hate that.
I would have hated that. I was
because
thinking
it's off-brand.
Exactly. I was sitting there thinking, fuck, if they try to do like a cool drama thing where Maverick's dead or he's a POW or something and they have to pay to get him back, it'd be stupid. But the fact that Rooster goes back, and I have to say, one of my favorite Miles Teller performances. I think he is great as that character, but also plays it so like clearly Goose's son. You know, he does a really great job at not like trying to imitate Goose from the first one, but plays it really well that he's his son. Like it's really believable, and the relationship between him and Tom Cruise is really good. And also the fact that they all did those fucking plane stunts in real life is ridiculous.
That was going to be my next question. Would you have ended the film differently? And I know, Simon, you said that you would probably like cut it off a bit earlier, and you, Ben, think that that was a perfect way to end the film.
I think I just would have changed it around. I would have ended it with the bit where you see Rooster going up to the collage and seeing the photo of Maverick and Goose, and then seeing the photo of Maverick and Rooster. I think that is probably the right place to end it.
Right.
I think you can have the Jennifer Connelly thing in there because it's nice to give Maverick a happy ending.
To be fair, like it's less about her because that's not her story, it's Maverick's story. So it's like he kind of he gets his happy ending.
And it's this whole thing of change for him, and like you know, the whole relationship with Jennifer Connelly is, and like even the little girl Amelia says it to him, is like, just don't break her heart again, which I love that scene when he falls out the window and he catches eyes with her. I thought it was brilliant. And she's like, just don't break her heart again. The whole thing is that Maverick wouldn't end up with her and he would run off and he would do something and he'd just be going flying planes. So actually, to just give him that ending is really nice, which, as you said, you know, mentioning, would there be a Top Gun 3? I kind of hope there wouldn't be. I don't need another one. I'm happy knowing that Maverick is happy and I'm just good with that, you know? In that I know Tom Cruise is happy, because I feel like Maverick is probably, like, Maverick feels, of all of Tom Cruise's performances, Maverick feels like the one that is just like Tom Cruise kind of doing, you know, being himself.
Because in that scene that you said you like with Jennifer Connelly's daughter, Penny's daughter,
Yeah.
I thought cynically that they were perhaps setting up her to be the next Top Gun person.
Oh, hopefully.
Because
No, I don't
in
think
the
so.
ending sequence, right? They're in Tom Cruise's hangar where he's like polishing up his old plane.
And he sees the little girls in
And
the
he-
gap in the
yeah,
plane.
And he sees the little girl in the gap. And I think that is the moment they're setting her up to be the next important character in the franchise.
They could be, but they'd need to wait 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was reading at an interview from one of the key producers, and he was saying how they kept going back to Tony Scott to pitch him like an idea for a sequel, and he kept turning them down, like no. And they finally got it right when they brought up the whole arc about Goose and like the son, like storyline, how this could go. And Tony Scott said, "Okay, pitch it to me." It was the very first time that he was like, "Okay, I'm receptive to where this is going." And they had some early conversations, and then he killed himself. Even for that, I feel like they wouldn't have done Maverick if they hadn't gotten some sort of affirmation, like positive affirmation from Scott. So my gut tells me that there's not going to be a Top Gun 3 because it just doesn't work in any shape or form. That said, there have been people out there that are like, hey, Cruise has 2 films left with Mission Impossible, then his slate is kind of clear. And he's 60.
He's doing the space movie, isn't he? It's not his next big thing.
As in, like, yeah, kind of clear. As in, like, he's
Yeah.
not gonna be in back-to-backs, which, like, Mission Impossible has taken his entire, like...
It's taken, 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So he has a bit of scope. So in theory, he could explore Top Gun 3. But for me, it would either have to be some sort of, like, coercive play from Paramount because of the box office success, right? Like, to this date, it's Tom Cruise's highest grossing film to date. It already has like over 600 million in the box office. So there's that. But for whatever reason, like, I know we talked about Tom Cruise for this entire episode, there is something about him that feels very like wholesome, and that he really appreciates integrity. I don't think he could bastardize the film, the legacy, start a franchise for the sake of
I think you're more likely to get a series out of it.
Series with
Like
Rooster, for example.
You could do just a general, like a Top Gun. Like, I feel like more so than doing a movie, if they were to move on from Cruise, you're more likely to get them to like a Hulu.
Okay, so we're almost at the end, but I just want to quickly shout out the Ed credit song that Simon and you had strong feelings about, Lady Gaga's "Hold My Hand."
I didn't even know it was Lady Gaga.
It was Lady Gaga.
I was surprised at the start when the credits came up and the score is by Hans Zimmer, someone else, and Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga is a perfect choice for like heavy homoerotic energy, isn't she? If you think about it.
For the hard dick.
Yeah, for the Born This Way, baby.
Yeah, that is true.
Did you like the song?
It was just hyper cheesy, wasn't it?
But that's the whole point of the movie. It was the perfect level of cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you had told me when we started doing this podcast and we looked at the schedule, like, we're going to do Doctor Strange, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Top Gun, I never would have been thinking in my head, Jesus, Top Gun's going to be so much better than Doctor Strange, because I'm such a big Marvel fan. It's brilliant. Like, it is so good. If you want, like, to...
Approved.
Now, it's over 2 hours long, but I will say it doesn't
They flew
actually
by,
feel it.
literally.
Yeah. It doesn't actually feel it, because you do just spend most of your time being like, fucking hell, like, just watching kind of how amazing it is, and every now and again wanting to just like high five the person next to you and be like, yeah, go on. Like, it's yeah, I just thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I tried not to like it, but I really liked it.
I'm glad you said that because I'm glad you said that, Simon, because coming into this I was like, oh god, if Simon hasn't liked it, I'm going to be really disappointed. But I'm glad you said that it kind of won you over in that way, because I think it will do that for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to go into it quite cynically, saying the old Top Gun, it's just like this ridiculous, it's overly cheesy, the flight sequences look terrible, all this stuff. Because like I've just gotten into a hole of watching like videos on YouTube of like F-22 pilots talking about Top Gun, and they're all like, the original Top Gun's terrible, we watch it.
I wanted to Google what that stealth plane was at the beginning, but it's
not real. It's not real.
Plane.
But apparently, they were spied on by the Chinese government because they thought it was real. Yeah, Lockheed Martin made it with them. It's like a prototype thing. But yeah, I think a lot of people will go into the film thinking it's just going to be like the original, but actually, it's a lot better, and it's aged very well, I think.
It's more mature, it's more tender.
Yeah, much more.
It's a grade A Sunday hangover film when it comes out on
exactly. I'm gonna buy it on DVD.
Is it a great hangover film? Because I feel like you get very
nauseous.
Yeah, I was gonna say like some of those plane sequences are like.
As a person who's afraid of flying,
there you go.
There was definitely moments in the film where I was like, getting like sweaty hands, being like, oh Jesus Christ. Like my girlfriend turned to me because we went to see it on Monday night. She turned to me beforehand. She's like, are you not going to be like really nervous watching this film because like you hate flying? I was like, no, it'll be fine. I watch videos of planes all the time, and that's fine because I'm not in them. But there was genuine moments where I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, they're going to die.
She's imagining like the flight sequences are made with like Ryanair planes, which would actually be quite
That's a
scary.
very different movie. Oh, can you imagine John Hamm's character being played by Michael O'Leary?
A rattly old plane from Ryanair.
We've removed the seats from the jets. You're pulling 10 Gs with no seatbelts.
Awesome. The ending has been solved again. You
wasn't
guys.
too difficult to solve.
It
that
wasn't. Even though this one didn't really need any
we just said what we
special
saw.
detective skills.
Say what you see. And what we say is go see the movie yourselves, because it's really
Go
good.
see the movie. So if you made it this far, we like to think that you enjoyed the episode. So why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Night on Earth from Jim. Pronounce it for me, please.
Jarmusch.
There you go.
I'm not sure.
Correct us if we're wrong.
I'd like to get clarity on that, please.
We're quite excited for this one, and maybe we can do like a filmography breakdown from. I really love him. Anyway, thanks so much for joining.
Jaramouche.
Good evening and good night.
Oh, look, a message from our sponsor.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.